Welcome back to Major Antonio's presentation of London to Ladysmith via Pretoria by Winston S. Churchill. Today, 125 years ago, the future Prime Minister commenced a dangerous journey to the battlefields of the Boer War in South Africa. We shall follow his footsteps as he narrates his adventures himself. Subscribe to our channel so as not to miss anything. Chapter 3, Along the Southern Frontier. East London, November 5, 1899.
We have left headquarters busy with matters that as yet concern no one but themselves in the Mount Nelson Hotel at Capetown, a most excellent and well-appointed establishment, which may be thoroughly appreciated after a sea voyage, and which, since many of the leading Uitlanders have taken up their abode there during the war, is nicknamed the Helots' Rest. Last night, I started by rail for East London, whence a small ship carries the weekly English mail to Natal. And so by this circuitous route, I hope to reach Ladysmith on Sunday morning. We have thus gained 3 days on our friends who proceed by the Dunottar Castle, and who were mightily concerned when they heard too late to follow of our intentions. But though it is true in this case that the longest way round is the shortest way, there were possibilities of our journey being interrupted, because the line from De Aar Junction to Nauport runs parallel to the southern frontier of the Free State, and though hostile enterprises have not yet been attempted against this section of the railways, they must always be expected. Railway traveling in South Africa is more expensive, but just as comfortable as in India. Lying down accommodation is provided for all, and meals can be obtained at convenient stopping places. The train, which is built on the corridor system, runs smoothly over the rails, so smoothly indeed that I found no difficulty in writing. The sun is warm, and the air keen and delicious. But the scenery would depress the most buoyant spirits. We climbed up the mountains during the night, and with the daylight, the train was in the middle of the great Karoo. Wherefore was this miserable land of stone and scrub created? Huge mounds of crumbling rock, fashioned by the rains into the most curious and unexpected shapes, rise from the gloomy desert of the plain. Yet, though the Karoo looks a hopeless wilderness, flocks of sheep at distant intervals, one sheep requires 600 acres of this scrappy pasture for nourishment, manage to subsist. And in consequence, now and again the traveler sees some far-off farm. We look about eagerly for signs of war. Little is as yet to be seen, and the Karoo remains unsympathetic. But all along the southern frontier of the Free State, the expectation of early collision grows. The first sign after leaving Capetown is the proclamation against treason published by Sir Alfred Milner. The notice boards of the railway stations are freely placarded with the full text in English and Dutch, beginning with, "Whereas a state of war exists between the government of Her Majesty and the governments of the South African Republic and of the Orange Free State," continuing to enjoin good and loyal behavior on all, detailing the pains and penalties for disobedience, and ending with "God Save the Queen." Both races have recorded their opinions on their respective versions. The British by underlining the penalties, the Dutch by crossing out the first word of "God Save the Queen." It is signed A. Milner, and below, in bitter irony, W.P. Schreiner. Beyond Matjesfontein, every bridge, and even every culvert, is watched by a Kaffir with a flag, so that the train runs no risk of coming on unexpected demolitions. On the road to De Aar, we passed the second half of the Brigade Division of Artillery, which sailed so long ago from the Mersey in the notorious transports Zibengla and Zayathla. The gunners were hurrying to the front in 3 long trains, each taking half a battery complete with guns, horses, and men. All were light-hearted and confident, as soldiers going off to the wars always are, and in this case their satisfaction at being on land after 5 weeks of uncomfortable voyage in antiquated ships was easily to be understood. But this is no time for reproaches. At Beaufort West, grave news awaited the mail, and we learned of the capitulation of 1,200 soldiers near Ladysmith. It is generally believed that this will precipitate a rising of the Dutch throughout this part of the colony and an invasion by the commandos now gathered along the Orange River. The Dutch farmers talk loudly and confidently of our victories, meaning those of the Boers, and the racial feeling runs high. But the British colonists have an implicit faith, marvelous when the past is remembered, in the resolve of the imperial government and of the nation never to abandon them again. At DR, the stage of our journey, which may be said to have been uncertain, began. Armored trains patrol the line. Small parties of armed police guard the bridges. Infantry and artillery detachments occupy the towns. DR, Colesberg, and Stormberg are garrisoned as strongly as the present limited means allow. And all the forces, regulars and volunteers alike, are full of enthusiasm. But on the other hand, the reports of Boer movements seem to indicate that a hostile advance is imminent. The Colesberg Bridge across the Orange River has been seized by the enemy. The line between Bethune and Colesberg has just been cut, and each train from DR to Stormberg is expected to be the last to pass unassailed. We, however, slept peacefully through the night, and passing Colesberg safely, arrived at Stormberg, beyond which all is again secure. Stormberg Junction stands at the southern end of a wide expanse of rolling grass country, and though the numerous rocky hills, or kopjes as they are called, which rise inconveniently on all sides, make its defense by a small force difficult, a large force occupying an extended position would be secure. Here we found the confirmation of many rumors. The news of a Boer advance on Burgersdorp, 25 miles away, is, it seems, well-founded, and when our train arrived, the evacuation of Stormberg by its garrison, of a half-battalion of the Berkshire Regiment, 350 men of the Naval Brigade, a company of mounted infantry, and a few guns, was busily proceeding. The sailors were already in their train, and only prevented from starting by the want of an engine. The infantry and artillery were to start in a few hours. It is rather an unsatisfactory business, though the arrival of more powerful forces will soon restore the situation. Stormberg is itself an important railway junction. For more than a week, the troops have been working night and day to put it in a state of defense. Little redoubts have been built on the kopjes, entrenchments have been dug, and the few houses near the station are already strongly fortified. I was shown one of these by the young officer in charge. The approaches were cleared of everything except wire fences and entanglements. The massive walls were loopholed, the windows barricaded with sandbags, and the rooms inside broken one into the other for convenience in moving about. Its garrison of 25 men and its youthful commander surveyed the work with pride. They had laid in stores of all kinds for 10 days, and none doubted that Fort Chabrol, as they called it, would stand a gallant siege. Then suddenly had come the message to evacuate and retreat. So it was with the others. The train with the naval detachment and its guns steamed off, and we gave it a feeble cheer. Another train awaited the Berkshires. The mounted infantry were already on the march. "Mayn't we even blow up this lot?" said a soldier, pointing to the house he had helped to fortify. But there was no such order, only this one which seemed to pervade the air. "The enemy are coming. Retreat, retreat, retreat." The station master, one of the best types of Englishmen to be found on a long journey, was calm and cheerful. "No more traffic north of this," he said. "Yours was the last train through from DR. I shall send away all my men by the special tonight, and that's the end as far as Stormberg goes." "And you?" "Oh, I shall stay. I have lived here for 12 years and am well known. Perhaps I may be able to protect the company's property." While we waited, the armored train returned from patrolling, an engine between two carriages cloaked from end to end with thick plates and slabs of blue-gray iron. It had seen nothing of the advancing Boers, but like us and like the troops, it had to retire southwards. There were 50 Uitlanders from Johannesburg on the platform. They had been employed in trenching. Now they were bundled back again towards East London. So we left Stormberg in much anger and some humiliation, and jolted away towards the open sea, where British supremacy is not yet contested by the Boer. At Molteno, we picked up 100 volunteers, fine-looking fellows, all eager to encounter the enemy, but much surprised at the turn events had taken. They, too, were ordered to fall back. The Boers were advancing, and to despondent minds, even the rattle of the train seemed to urge, "Retreat, retreat, retreat." I do not desire to invest this wise and prudent, though discouraging move with more than its proper importance. Anything is better than to leave small garrisons to be overwhelmed. Until the Army Corps comes, the situation will continue to be unsatisfactory, and the ground to be recovered afterwards will increase in extent. But with the arrival of powerful and well-equipped forces, the tide of war will surely turn.
This concludes today's reading of London to Ladysmith via Pretoria, by Winston S. Churchill. Join us also tomorrow for the subsequent chapter. Subscribe to Major Antonio's channel. Thanks for listening, and so long.